right.
It's time.
It is time. Welcome back to the Hammock Life. It is Wednesday, episode 11. That's 10 plus 1. 10, 1, 10, 1. Boom,
I
boom,
now
boom,
understand
boom.
why you used to work for a bank.
Some common core math right there.
Anyway, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Smash the like button, share, subscribe, hit the bell thingy.
The bell thingy.
Let's open some beers.
Woohoo!
We already did.
We did already open
As
beers.
promised from the last
Bill,
episode.
where's your sound effect thing?
Upgrade.
Yeah, we did. We
All
opened.
right, can
we
we
opened
turn
some
off the
cellared
beat
beers
before
today.
it's totally stuck in my head for the next
Nope.
3 years?
It's,
Not until we sip. We turned it off last time we sipped.
all right, which one are we going for first? The foamier one?
Those roads.
The
All
Evers,
right.
yeah. Cheers.
Those roads.
Bow, bow. Aw.
Ooh.
So yeah, we did Two Roads Igor's Cherry
Igor's Dream aged in cherry bitters barrels.
from like 2018.
Yeah. We cellared it.
I wonder what it tasted like fresh.
I don't know. We didn't have one fresh.
A little more cherry.
Yeah,
Probably,
the cherry has
Less
definitely
wood.
fallen off. We had it. Kevin and I had it at the brewery that day. I was there. I remember.
Me too. I
Yep.
was there.
Very cool.
I was there with Pat when Pat was there with me.
Yep.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, I get a lot of wood.
Lots and lots of wood.
Giggity. Yeah, definitely a lot of
That scared me, Patrick.
What's it from?
I don't know. I don't know movies in quotes.
Oh, that was TV.
That
Full
is
House.
true.
Oh,
I feel like
Dave
it. I feel like it thinned out. Like it definitely evolved a little bit more than I would like.
Yeah.
I remember being a little more rich.
I wish I would have had it fresh, so I had a.
if they don't know what you're talking about, maybe they should watch the previous episode.
Yeah, on Monday
about
on episode
aging.
No, I meant more. I wish I had it fresh, so I knew like.
No,
the-
I know, but
the
I was
differences.
referencing the other episode.
Yeah. You didn't take notes on it, so you don't know what you're dealing with.
But if they didn't watch the last episode, now they can go back and watch it.
have
I'd
a
be
reason.
kind of surprised if somebody found us episode 11 and has not watched any of the previous.
It
No,
happens.
As someone that's podcasted before,
Is that
it
really?
it happens.
Because like I listen to a lot of podcasts and I'm like, if you're just joining us, I'm like, it's episode 100.
Well, sometimes you get called into an episode like the first ever Joe Rogan podcast I listened to was because Robert Downey Jr. was on it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I didn't
fair
go back
enough.
to the I didn't go back to the beginning and start over. I saw the topic and jumped in.
Yeah, and
So-
I know some people too that they'll start at one episode because they just found the podcast, and then they'll just work their way backwards rather than watching them in order. They just go in reverse order. So,
Oh, I do that with some too. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
Next
cool.
beer,
So,
So then-
Julian. What else we got?
We also have from Stony Creek Brewery out in Brentford the No Egrets Imperial Stout, vintage 2017. It's another cellar find for us. I know nothing about this beer, but we're going to drink it.
Neither do I.
A lot of chocolate,
yeah,
cacao.
The only
Cacao.
Lot
The
of
only thing
chocolate.
I've only
Definitely got
dark
chocolate.
beer I've ever really had from Stony Creek was the Stony Joe's not even dark, is it?
It's
No.
a
It's
golden
a-
mocha
it's a-
stout,
wait,
sir.
Yeah.
Then I don't think I've ever had a dark beer from Stony Creek.
Well, this is a double mash stout with a rich body. It says it right there.
I mean,
It says
it's pretty good. I mean, I
So
get a lot of
today
chocolate.
Today we've established Bill can count to 11 and Julian can read.
Yeah, sometimes.
I mean, you're assuming he's reading. He may have just memorized it from someone else
Well,
telling him.
That's fair. I didn't tell him.
I didn't tell him shit.
Oh, hold on. I'm taller than
I love
Kayla.
that. Hold on, everybody.
So yeah, it's episode 11.
what do we
Episode
got going
11.
on today?
I think it's time to spin that wheel.
Yeah,
I think it's the
Yeah, we're going back to the wheel.
Yeah, so I'm gonna change.
Might as well have Julian do it since he's
Yeah,
already
Julian,
standing.
since you're standing.
Spin the wheel.
Spin that
Yeah,
wheel.
That worked out. I was gonna get up, but I don't have to.
Yeah, I was gonna go do it too. I didn't.
I love that he poses. Let's see that, Vanna.
Oh, no. Oh, wait. I thought it flew. All right, guys. Let me get my headphones back on, and I will read you.
Cookie butter. What's cookie butter?
Cookie butter, I don't know, but it sounds delicious. But what I do know is that our hot take, hard seltzer, is not beer.
Ooh,
Hard.
good one. Good
This
one.
take is pretty hard.
I think hard seltzer is beer. It's brewed with sort
Can't
of
do
this.
that. You're not allowed. You have to take that hard.
No, he doesn't.
He has to.
He didn't know because I don't know who put that in the wheel. I
That's
didn't
true.
put that in the wheel. I don't even know what I'm gonna say yet.
Hard
Yeah,
seltzer
I'm,
is
I'm
beer.
thinking about it now.
Yeah. Hard
I know who
seltzer-
put it in the wheel.
Yeah. I put it in the wheel, except Kevin added a number. A word, not a number.
No, literally what you told me to write.
Oh, well, oops. I disagree with my own hot take. Hard seltzer is beer. It is a fermented malt beverage, and it is classified by the BA as beer, and it counts towards our numbers at the end of the year. And I think it's an awesome product that
We went like 2 or 3 episodes without a sales take. Granted, he wasn't on one of those episodes, but still.
it's not a sales take. It's an industry take, Patrick.
It's
And,
beer, and this is why.
Right. I think a craft brewed hard seltzer is absolutely a beer product, and I think it's a really cool, interesting thing that breweries can explore as an avenue to try something a little bit different that appeals to a different and wider audience than maybe some of their normal offerings do. And it's great to be able to offer that what is usually a gluten-free offering at the brewery for people who are looking for
Right.
something a little bit different. You still have a good time at your tap room, and you don't have to sell them wine. You can sell them something that you made there. I think hard seltzer is beer. I think it's delicious, and I think more people should get on board.
So I agree with you for the most part. I think the beer classification definitely depends on what ingredients are being used to brew it and the process you're using to brew it, because it's made differently by different companies. So I
Right.
think
You have like the spiked stuff is different than.
right. So the way we make it here, absolutely, it's beer. With the ingredients we use, the process we use, it's definitely a beer product. To all the points that you made, but not everyone makes it that way. So I think I can go either way on that argument, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm saying the hard take comes from most consumer point of view, right? Like I would say that most consumers would assume if you said, "Oh, grab me a hard seltzer," if I said, "Hey, you want a beer?" and I threw you a hard seltzer, I'm not sure you would be like, "Sweet, bro." Like if I,
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure I would expect you throwing that to me.
Bill Wood.
Not necessarily though. You'd be like, "Oh, you want a beer? Sure." And then you throw them a spiked seltzer. You may not be like,
yeah, I'd be like, oh, that's not what I asked for, but I'll drink it.
Right. I just think that, so if I'm looking at it from that perspective, I could see it. But from the brewing side, I mean, for people who don't know, at least how we make it, and a lot of the breweries in the state for sure, it's brewed exactly like beer. I mean, we're just using, either some people are using cane sugar or like corn sugar or whatever, which is derived from grain, and then we're then using the same brewing techniques we normally would be using. So, either some people are using different strains of yeast, like we're actually using one of our secondary house strains here.
Yep.
So realistically, as far as technique is concerned, it's definitely beer. And I echo what Juliana mentioned was, hey, it's nice that we can offer a gluten-free product that is made by us.
Yep.
That also is getting in that demographic of folks who maybe prefer wine or either because they just rather have that sort of flavor profile, or they're just looking for that gluten-free option, which, we could dabble in gluten-free like standard beers, but why?
Yeah, and I think that's the overall portion of seltzer that kind of sold me on the whole idea, other than it being delicious, is being able to have something available for those people. Because it's inevitable in the tap room, you're going to get someone who's just kind of along for the ride. They're with a group of friends or with a significant other. They don't really drink beer, or they just want to break from beer. That seltzer is an awesome option for them. And you also get the gluten-free crowd looking for something that's gluten-free. So, yeah, pretty much echoing everything you said. That's really what sold me on the idea of them in general.
It's not beer. And here's why. You take away all the brewing knowledge. I am a casual consumer that walks in the door. It doesn't look like beer. It doesn't taste like beer. It doesn't smell like beer. It doesn't affect my body the way beer does in terms of getting bloated and whatnot. It's not beer. From the common consumer perspective, it may follow the same process as beer, but it's not beer. And my parallel to that is winemakers versus mead makers or cider makers. They're all a very similar process, but they're all very different products.
True.
So, it's not like if to the casual, like as an educated person, which in this industry, in the grand scheme of people that consume hard seltzer, I would say is probably in the single percent of the population. They don't view it as beer. Like you don't if you it doesn't have the stereotype, or it has different stereotypes than what beer does. But if you come in and there's someone looking for something that's not beer, you offer them a seltzer. You offer them a glass of wine. Like we don't treat it like a beer from the consumption side.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's not beer.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. From the consumer standpoint and the overall view of what they're drinking, it's not beer to them in their eyes. But then from the technical standpoint, when people are like, oh, technically it's beer. So, I see both sides of that, absolutely. Just depends on which side of that coin you're looking from. Like,
It's like the all squares are rectangles thing.
you're a
That might be
square.
the most intelligent thing Julian's ever said on this podcast.
Top 5, not the best.
I have nothing to add.
That means he's disappointed in me.
No, I just meant in general.
Cool. Hard seltzer is beer.
I wonder what the viewers think.
No, I think
Oh, that'd be a good one.
I think you're wrong.
Not only if they consider it beer or not, but do they like them, and which ones they like.
Do they like?
Do
that?
they like them?
Do you like long walks on the beach with
Did we
seltzers
just
in your hand?
wait? Did we just create a new dating app but with beers and seltzers?
Oh, that's actually a great
Because
idea.
that'd be fantastic.
We should edit that part out until we have it all showed up.
I would get on that app. Swipe right on White Claw.
Jesus.
And then you can get matched with people that swipe
Would
right
you
on the same beers.
Would you swipe on White Claw though?
Yes, it's fucking delicious and not beer.
I hate you.
Yeah, I don't think he was arguing if you liked it or not.
Yeah.
All right.
We lost some steam on this one.
Yeah, well, speaking of, we've got to figure out when we're brewing our next batch and what we're going to do with it.
That's a Friday topic of conversation.
Yeah.
It should be soon.
Think about that for Friday.
All right. Check back on Friday to see when we're doing our next seltzer.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I have to think about it all week first.
Right.
Yeah. So
Well, yeah, I guess I'll add one. I was just thinking. I don't know why my brain stopped working for a while there, but
Usually that's me.
I think the one nice thing from a brewery perspective is just it's another wrinkle that you can provide or offer people while also honing in your brewing skills on, all your best practices. When you brew beer, you can apply that to seltzer. It's also a new learning curve too, obviously, as far as different nutrients and other items that we can utilize. But there were so many things like that we were able to apply to, not necessarily the exact technique, but like, hey, this is how we brew our gozas with like the extra fruit that everybody wants to see. It's like, oh, it's seltzer. You want to have it more refreshing. So how do we get that a little cleaner? How do we still present that natural fruit flavor pop in there, but as well as not being overbearing? So I do think that, yeah, I get it. I don't disagree. I think that's how I started. Mine was from consumer. I get it. From a brewer, I think it's like, dude, we can apply all this knowledge that we know about beer into this same product, and still learn within that product as well. So if it's
I think that's what was really cool about it. Even though a lot of the things we were doing were similar, we learned a lot of things about the process as well, because there are a lot of differences and things that just don't work the same. We had to be a little bit more delicate in certain areas and try different things to make to make everything work and to get the end product that we were looking for. So it was a fun experiment all around when we first started playing around with it and then figured out all those nuances out. It was definitely exciting.
yeah.
So
Cool.
since we're losing steam on this one, I'm gonna add a new hot take. to
Uh-oh.
this.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
They kind of it's related. It was in my head for a future episode, but I don't know how, another hot take. All breweries should offer an option that is not perceived as beer in their tap room. That is still alcoholic.
I feel like that's going to be a consensus.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think it's a smart decision to offer, because like I said earlier, no matter what, you're always getting those people coming through that are with a group that don't enjoy beer. Having something that they can enjoy as well is going to keep them coming back if that same group of friends wants to come out again. They're like, oh, you know what? They had that seltzer that I liked. So, yeah, I'm going to go there. So I think you're right. Having that non-beer option for those people is extremely smart. And if it's one that you can make yourself rather than purchase elsewhere, you can offer it for cheaper to the customer because your costs are lower and all that kind of stuff. So, it absolutely makes sense.
Well, and to tag on to that a little bit as far as if you can make it yourself, I think the advantage, like, so yeah, you can offer wine from somebody else or whatever, or cider. I think the advantage of offering a product that you can create yourself is you also offer that story, that same value that you offer the common quote unquote beer drinker to the individual who necessarily doesn't like beer or doesn't look forward to drinking a glass of beer. If they're willing and interested in drinking the seltzer that we make, you can still invite them into that story. Hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it.
Yep.
That's half the advantage. I mean, not to rub salt in the wound for people who can't come out in the world right now, but that's half the advantage of coming to a tap room, right? You can get that story. You can talk to the employees. You can learn about the brewery, what makes them a little bit different. You know, how do you do X, Y, and Z? If you just come in and have a glass of wine from Joe Schmo's winery that's out of state or wherever, there's no story there. You might as well be at a bar.
Right, yeah. You're growing the overall experience for
Right.
a broader audience of customers.
Well, to offer that, it gives them, as Kevin said, it gives them that taproom experience. Whereas if they come in and drink something not from here, so they don't really care. They're having a good time. Yeah, probably they're hanging out with friends. It's a cool space. That's great, but they don't get to connect with us and with the brand.
I wonder what people think too. Like, for example, if they go to a tap room, say they come to No Worries, we have our La Di Da seltzer on, but we also, for some reason, sell cans of White Claw out of the cooler. Would they be more apt to try our seltzer, or would they want that White Claw? I'm curious, like, what people, like, what's the benefit for them? Do they want to dive into what the brewery's making? Do they want to experience that, or do they just want to go with something that they know and trust?
Well, I think that most people who, even if they do get dragged along, I think most people when they come out to a local tap room would like to be able to try something local. And if it's something up there, if they're a White Claw drinker and they have that option to try, for instance, our La Di Da here, I think they'll probably gravitate towards the local option that was made here because it's cool, it's a connection, and they get to feel like they're part of the place, even if they don't necessarily like beer. So I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I do see people more and more often wanting to support local as often as possible. So I think you're right.
Especially right now.
Well, yeah.
What beers you guys have that taste like Bud Light?
What's your highest ABV?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're always going to get the brand horror. I mean, no matter what you do. But I think you just sort of educate them and say, hey, this is what we do. This is it's similar to, but we're doing it our own way, right? I mean, and that's the value I think that all craft breweries try to provide is, you know, yeah, we're not reinventing the wheel in terms of we're all making beer, but we're doing it a little bit differently based on how we feel like, even if it's, hey, I'm presenting this style this way because we like it this way. You know, I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think at that point, too, it's on the taproom staff to kind of educate the consumer and let them know all that kind of shit. Yeah.
And I think they go into it saying, if it doesn't taste like White Claw, I'm not going to like it. Well, we're not trying to clone it, so,
Exactly.
you know.
I don't know if it does. If it doesn't taste like the lime White Claw, I might like it more. That one's the devil.
I don't really have a palate for it. I mean, I don't really know what they all taste like off the top of my head.
This is
I just
Bill's-
don't like. I
this
just
is
don't
Bill's
like.
area. His
I just don't like
expertise.
black
I haven't
cherry in
had one
general.
so long.
Black cherry is just a bad flavor if it's not.
Yeah, but that's like the most popular flavor, is what I've been told.
You're wrong.
I enjoy black cherry.
Black
Yeah,
cherry. Black cherry is the best artificial flavoring on the planet.
Apparently,
Black cherry
apparently
and-
the line has been made.
Black cherry and grape are both travesties.
Oh no, I will back you on the grape topic. That's a whole nother hot take.
The problem
right
is there's
there.
too much medicine that tastes like grape, so just you can't really get around it.
And cherry too. It tastes like cough medicine. You're wrong, Pat.
Well, I don't take cough medicine, so
What's
don't
in your
care.
pocket? Is that syrup?
Nope. I am not on the tussin right now.
I think they call
Okay.
it lean.
I don't know what they call it. I don't know what the kids call it these days. Where's my
Anyway.
Tussin?
This one could get away from us. Do we have food this week?
Are we done with this?
I don't know.
I have
It
really
sort of-
nothing to
Yeah,
add.
I
It
think
sort of felt like we were done with it. If I was wrong, I'm sorry.
No. I think we're pretty much wrapped up. I didn't have anything
From
additional.
the producer standpoint, we hit the number that I'm happy
All right, we're
with.
killing
So-
it. All right, producer says we're good. Yeah, I mean, figure we're always highlighting the local guys. That this one's actually in my neighborhood. New West.
Ooh, I love those guys.
You know, they carry a lot of local beer.
Very good wings.
Yeah, they're known for their wings for sure. I know they're doing takeout with growlers as well. The wings for sure. I saw they were doing a couple specials. I think they have like 12 or so sauces. They're trying to like mix it up. Just offer, because they don't normally do that many sauces unless they're just trying to do something new during this time and provide even more value. I mean, I know their buffalo is just amazing, so I don't normally move away from that.
I feel like there are two types of wing people: the traditionalists that get buffalo, and then the people that won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I'm more of a traditionalist, but I will cross the party lines with
right.
you.
If I'm with somebody who enjoys the variables, I will. But I would totally just speak if that buffalo is on point. I'm happy with buffalo.
Yeah, I'm both. I really like buffalo, but I also like a big variety. I like to try new things. I like unique flavors. So yeah.
Well, you know where you can go, Bill.
Where can I
New
go?
West.
I can go to New West.
You can order online or through their phone, and then you can pick it up. I'm pretty sure.
You have to use their phone, or can you use your phone to call their phone?
You have to use their phone to call their phone.
Okay.
And then you have to leave a voicemail because it's busy, but, I mean, you'll get it eventually.
That's a good stopping point.
At the time. Wait. Ready? Wait. Da, 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 da.
Well, until next time, guys. Keep living that
Cheers.
hammock life.